As Duke and High Marquis of Hell, Chax commands 30 legions. He appears as a stork with a raucous voice and is known to be deceitful. He steals horses and takes the silver in the houses he possesses, only to return it 1,200 years later if everything is still in order. If he is confined to a triangle, he will speak truth on supernatural matters, point out hidden treasures not guarded by evil spirits, and obey the exorcist. If he is not confined, he will lie and not always obey the exorcist. I'm Kennedy Einstein, and this is Strangeful Things.
Sheltering in place is not advised, as your survival cannot be ensured in that scenario.
Love has practically caused me to just get you destroyed.
Unsolved, unresolved, and super complicated.
Strangeful Things.
Welcome everybody to Strangeful Things. It's a rollover episode because it's Halloween. Hi Shuey, are you ready to be super spooky?
Oh, I'm super ready to be spookalicious.
That's right. Because we're going to talk about demons, and we're going to talk about one particular case. But before we do that, we have to sort of dismantle or mantle, I guess, depending on what side you fall on, the whole idea of demons.
Right.
But first, we have to do new and good. So what do you got?
All right. Well, you know, I'm a big fan of new and good, and I always put a lot of thought into it.
Yeah.
So it was pointed out to me by a listener, a JS are his initials, that I've been talking too much about football, which I have to agree, but when you don't put any thought into it, whatever comes up in your head is what you say. So, but I got a couple of things this week. One this past week was DC's Fandom.
Yeah.
Which is their stupid fake convention.
Wasn't
where
stupid.
They show a couple
bastard.
of trailers and then tons of behind the scenes bullshit. But they did show the new The Batman trailer, and it looks pretty cool. And I'm very excited because, I'm a big fan of Rob Pattinson. Cedric Diggory, was one of my favorite characters.
I didn't realize that was
that's
Cedric
what he's
Diggory.
known for, right?
Yep.
Oh, you didn't know that was him?
No.
No. Well, that was one thing, and I'm excited for when that movie comes out. Another thing was my wife and I we watched Squid Game in one day.
Yeah.
Went through all 9 episodes, so we can now officially continue to watch Netflix now that we've actually watched, the show everybody else is watching. We never watched Tiger King or any of that shit. So this is the first time probably since Orange is the New Black that we've actually watched the big show on Netflix.
Tiger King is great.
Ugh, I refused. And then the last thing was I started watching on your recommendation What We Do in the Shadows, and it is the funniest fucking thing I've ever watched in my life.
It's good shit. That's that was
nuts.
That was a good rundown, and you have a good list of things that you watch. I'm glad that you like What We Do in the Shadows. My new and good this week is actually new and bad, but it might end up being good. Well, so good is I got a new phone, which you already know because you were the one that gave it to me.
Yeah.
But the new and bad is my ghosts out front stopped moving and moaning. Now they just blink.
Oh.
Yeah. It's hard to believe that the fucking expensive thing I bought from Carney's at a convention doesn't work well.
Yeah. That I had to drive your wife to it looked like an abandoned warehouse.
Well, it's not going to be abandoned when I go back there and kick some asses, fuckers. So that's what I got going on. And They were ghosts, not demons. But tonight we're
Oh,
talking
all right.
about demons because last week we talked about Danielle Harkins, who obviously was a true believer in demons, such that
Yes.
she needed to have her students poke holes in each other to let the demons out and then
Right.
burn the holes
Yeah,
right
she
back
could
up.
spot them.
Yep.
She could spot them. She
Oh,
knew
she
that
knew.
her neighbor was not possessed. Right?
Yeah, that's it. I don't know. Kids today, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
Full of demons. They need to get stabbed
That's what
more,
it is.
I guess.
It's that
Although
TikTok,
they didn't really,
I think.
just to be, if you didn't listen to the episode, and I don't know why you're listening to this episode, you should go back and listen to that
Right.
one. But
This isn't a start episode.
yeah. But there's going to be some history in this one. I did a lot of research, including going to a site.
I know how much time you put into this, so
I'm
sure the research
I went
is
to a site
thorough.
that still has a title that is the header of the site is an animated GIF of the name of the site on fire. And it
so
moved.
the site's been up for a number of years.
Yes, it's like GeoCities. It's a relic.
exactly. GeoCities.
So fucking
I used to
Angel
call
Fire.
that Geocities.
Ah, that's awesome. That makes me super happy. Well, it was. See, I had to be historically accurate when we start talking about all this made up nonsense. So, in order to get a baseline going, what do you think a demon is? And I don't mean don't just go nothing because they're not real. Like, just if you were gonna describe it or define it.
If I like you said, if I believed in all that stuff, I would say that a demon is like a hell, like something, first of all, that escaped from hell, I would assume, or based on, certain beliefs that this is hell is just, on earth because that's where hell is. And I kind of get the idea that they like work for the devil. And again, going into things I've said last week, a lot of what I know comes from Supernatural. Supernatural's hell had a very corporate structure to it. There was the devil and everybody who worked for him. Because I don't see them as being like randomness and like just evil personified. I think that there's I would see them as having like a greater purpose than that, like being part of a thing.
So your description of demon and the cold open was the description of Shax from the Ars Gesha, which is the book that Paimon came from the movie Hereditary. I mean, all the good demons come from there, like all of them, except see, this is where I kind of I get it crossed up.
They're all like European.
Duh. So
good point.
To me, like the things in this book, like that guy Shax, he's a devil, not a demon. Okay. So I have a stupid rationale for this. To me, the devils they used to be angels.
Okay.
And then they got booted out. So they're proper noun bad guys. Whereas demons are like the cows and dogs,
like minions
they're just like, oh, that's a Grabazilak. Like it's not Mr. Grabazilak because there's like more than one Grabazilak. And that's
they're like orcs.
Yeah, kinda. Yeah. And speaking of orcs, in Dungeons and Dragons, the demons and the devils don't get along at all.
Huh.
There's a huge overarching campaign in Dungeons and Dragons where you get all mixed up in the fight between the devils and the demons. And I use Dungeons and Dragons as an example specifically. it has an equal chance to be true as any of the other fucking shit that we're about to talk about.
I have proof.
So
I saw it in a vision. God was sitting in a big office. I mean, the devil was sitting in a big office at a big desk.
Exactly.
On the top of a skyscraper, and the demons were all in the lower levels working the mailroom.
Yep, and he was mad. He was mad. The devil was mad that he switched to Windows 11 and then didn't know how to install fonts because they changed it for no reason.
Oh, they had a reason, all right.
That was a little truth bomb. I had a hard time finding out how to get fonts back. Yeah. Then I always think that like it'd be great if you could be the best website in the world if you just answered dumb questions that. Because you know how lonely it is when you have a problem with your computer and you Google it and you find the problem on a message board, but nobody answered them.
Nobody's answered.
It's the exact same thing. Either that or the thread is like 500 pages long with everyone going, "Well, have you tried throwing your computer in the lake?" Like it's
Or people just commiserating, like, I got the same thing going on. Anybody have any ideas?
I know how you feel, buddy. So, as far as demons are concerned, there's the historical part of everything that we're going to talk about, but then we're going to talk about the very real. I hesitate to use the word effects, but it kind of just is effects, because the fact is that if somebody thinks that they're possessed by a demon, you would think that there would be authorities that would come and step in and go, well, you're not. You have an illness, and we're going to cure it.
Right.
Now, the loneliest, most horrible feeling in the world must be when you think you're possessed by a demon and all the people that you go to go, well, fuck you. I guess you're right. You are possessed by a demon. And that's a terrible fucking fate, as we're going to talk about with the story of Kennedy Ife. But at least if we're going to pretend, or we're going to say demons are real, it still bothers me. It will always bother me that like demons that possess people tend to possess, like use The Exorcist as the example, even though that was based on a story about a little boy, but it was still a kid. Why would you possess a kid? Kid can't do shit. Like we talked about last week, possess an MMA guy or the president. Like if you were a demon, why would you not possess the president? It's not like he has a special demon guard against him.
Well, I think there's a difference between what a demon would do and what a screenwriter thinks is a more compelling story.
Yeah. Well, but
I think getting the little kid, the innocence turned evil, I think is a an angle that they like to sell a lot more than Triple H becomes
Triple H
possessed by a demon.
He's not the president, so
he was.
Yeah, I suppose that's true. He was. He said one of the funniest things. It makes me laugh to this day. He was yelling at the Mean Street Posse, the guys that were just from the mean streets of Greenwich, and they kept screwing up whatever mission he had for him. And he's like, if you don't do this right, you're going to have to fight the acolytes every night for a year. So if you're listening to the show right now and you have a belief system, I'm sorry. Unless it's like Harry Potter or something fun or Star Wars or whatever. And we'll use Star Wars as an example. But if you have a belief system, then you're going to get, if you have a lot of faith, then nothing I say is going to make any difference. If you don't have any faith, then you're going to be like, that's weird. And if you're in the middle going, should I believe in a higher power or not?
I don't really know.
Then I don't know what to do for you, because you should not be listening. You should be listening to other things, not
to help you make that decision.
Not this. Yeah, we're not qualified in any way to help you with that. So we're going to talk about demons in Scripture.
Right.
Even and to
So we'll
do
go into
that,
the official texts.
yeah, we're going into the official is as official as you get, because and I've had conversations with people that either didn't know it or they had cognitive dissonance or they didn't want to know it or whatever, that it wasn't like somebody was walking around and they tripped over it and what's this book? Like, oh, it's the Bible. Ha ha. It wasn't like that at all. Like a bunch of people sat around thinking about what should be in it and what shouldn't.
Right.
And that's true of every holy text. It's all so and they changed shit like Han shot first. Well, not in my Bible, he didn't. Like they just change it. So for our discussions for this evening, we're going to use the New American Bible, which sounds very jingoistic, but it's actually that's the Catholic Bible, which surprisingly is the most liberal of all the Bibles, because back when they were deciding what was going to be in the Bible and what wasn't going to be in the Bible, the Catholics were like way more prone to be like, well, let it in, whatever, it's fine. We'll have 2 creation stories and we'll have 2 gospels that don't say much about virgin births whatsoever and actually say that Joseph is supposed to be from the line of David, which if it's a virgin birth, the fuck would he have to do with it? He didn't even need to be around. Right. But except that it's not like that. And this is, but I can't impress this on everybody listening enough. If you're in a conversation with somebody that talks about the Bible or the Quran or the Tanakh, I think it's called the Tanakh. Yeah, the Tanakh. And they act like,
what's that for?
That's the Jewish holy writings. The Torah is just the first 5 books. The whole thing is called
that's how I knew it was the Torah.
Yeah, but that's just
Talmud is the rules or something.
Yeah, but the Tanakh is the whole box set of the whole thing. So
that's the coolest name of them.
Yeah, it is. It is kind of a cool name.
It's almost like the bad guys from Star Trek. Like that's like one of their names.
Oh yeah, that is true. Tanakh the Klingon.
We gotta go meet Tanakh.
Yeah, that is a good idea. Yeah, as a matter of fact, now that I think about it, maybe the Klingon language is like low key racist against people speaking Hebrew because there's so much in there. So in 1546, the Council of Trent were hanging out, and they were like, "All right, these 73 books." 73. That's the Bible. These are the ones that the Holy Spirit was involved in. Except it's if you any of these books, if somebody talks about the Bible as a single thing, they're wrong, and there's because that would be like somebody quoting Westerns. What do you mean Westerns? Well, every Western
based on Westerns.
Like it's just because every book of the Bible was written by a person, but to a particular group of people for a specific reason. For fuck's sake, some of them are letters. If somebody wrote somebody a letter, how is that going to have anything to do with what the fuck happened when like in Leviticus? Like those things have nothing to do with each other. So.
Yeah, but I was always taught that these people were divinely.
The phrase you're looking for is divinely inspired.
Yeah, that's the word.
Yeah, they weren't. They were trying to get something across. They like when the Jews wrote down their holy writings, they were competing against other religions, so they had to make their God cooler and tougher. And the Catholics kind of, I mean, they fucked with everything eventually. But the interesting, I found out, here's a little interesting side note. The Romans, they conquered all these places, right? And they were talking about, like, you're always talking about how, Pontius Pilate was pissed off about Jesus and whatever. Pontius Pilate didn't give a shit about Jesus.
No.
He was just doing his job because the Romans didn't give a fuck what religion the places that they conquered were, and they didn't care where you went to church as long as you paid your money. Right. The only time things didn't go south for the Christians until they went to Rome and went, we should stop having all these other gods. And that's when they got in trouble.
The first missionaries thrown to the lions.
Exactly. They just button in when nobody was asking. They're like, hey, we're having an orgy. We're having an orgy here. Can you kind of not make us feel bad about it?
Like, you should be married to one person. Blah, blah, blah. They're like, what the fuck are you talking about? So they said 73 books, and I'm sure that there were some people like, the Gospel of Thomas should be in there. That's the child gospel, which, look it up. It's a fucking trip. But no, they didn't. That didn't make the cut. Didn't make the cut.
No. But they're still hanging out there. They're still around. You can still get at them if you're persistent. Anyways,
there's the Apocrypha, right? Isn't that?
Well, the Apocrypha is Apocrypha is, I believe, the books the Catholics left in that the Protestants took out. I think. Either that or it's just stuff that didn't make the cut that was around, because they had criteria. They're like, all right, well, it has to be old enough. It has to be, and it has to fit in with the fucking message that we're trying to send. And that's where it all falls apart. Like, and that's where the fundamental message of if your goal is to try and say that the Bible is Harry Potter, and there's a story and it means something, then you have to take out all the inconsistent parts. That's the going back and saying Greedo shot first. Yeah, it doesn't fit. So,
but you get that right in the beginning.
I know, but they just change it.
And they just ignore the fact, like, Adam and Eve had 2 sons, and then the sons got married. Where the fuck did their wives come from?
Oh, that 100%. It doesn't
like the second page. The story doesn't make any fucking sense.
Well, I mean, the old joke about he said let there be light, and then he didn't create the sun for like 3 days. So what the fuck did he make?
He had a nightlight.
Yeah, right. So the Jewish Bible, the Tanakh, they only have 24 books, and they pull up the reins when you get to the Jesus part. They're like, hey, hold on there, let's not be all silly about who the Messiah is, because
he's a good guy, but
he's nice and all, but the Messiah is supposed to come and basically kick everybody's ass. And be like, we're still getting fucked over here. So exactly. So, but their shit got organized by Josephus in the year 100 CE, the Common Era, because even like AD and BC, they fucked up when Jesus was born, because they actually figured out he was born like in BC,
3 BC.
So, weird like that. Anyways. In the Quran, and now the Quran is a different philosophy, I guess, because part of it is it's self-referential. Like, part of the Quran is you can't fuck with the Quran. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just you can't do this. And Muhammad lived in 610,
right?
Which is. I mean, it's all gelled together from a big historical standpoint, but that's. I mean, obviously, it's well into the the last millennia, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But as far as all of the holy books are concerned, the Quran actually is the most contemporary version of any of them that exist, except for like Dianetics. Because this guy, Caliph Uthman, Muhammad was getting all this info from Gabriel, and he's like, fuck, this is a lot to remember. And he had other people like he was going to remember this part, you know, and then he was like, we got to start writing this down. But like people remembered it by heart. Like a lot of the verses were done from memory, you know, oral tradition, whatever.
Right.
So this guy, this Caliph Uthman was like, all right, all you fuckers, send in your holy writings so that I can get it all mushed into one book. Because the definition of we have to be singing from the same songbook was this. Like he's like, get it all, send it in, send a self-addressed stamp.
So you want to be a holy writer?
Exactly. I'll curate it, and then we'll all have the same thing, and people won't be fucking asking me, because they were, depending on where you were, you didn't know what the fuck was right, because you didn't know if the part you memorized was right. So it was smart of them to get it all straightened out. But here's the thing. After he was done, he took all the assemblage of stuff and burned it.
Right.
So whatever he ended up with, which is the Quran now, is what he decided was the Quran. And it's just another person.
So it's just another one guy.
This is what
like,
God said.
Yeah.
So
it's like no different. It's no different than like fucking the Mormons. Like it's just one guy coming up with a bunch of shit.
Exactly. So now that we've laid out how all this came to be, we are going to talk about demons in these respective texts. Yes. If you want some Old Testament, you can go to Leviticus 1:17. They shall no longer sacrifice. They shall no longer sacrifice their sacrifices to the goat demons with which they play the harlot. This shall be a permanent statute to them throughout the generations. So stop it. And in Psalm 106, they joined themselves also to Baal Peor, and ate sacrifices offered to the dead. Thus they provoked him to anger with their deeds, and the plague broke out among them. Then Phinehas stood up and interposed, and so the plague was stayed. I'm not going to explain who Phineas was because I didn't look it up, but obviously he's a player because he was like, hey, don't have a plague, and it just
Phineas
stopped.
from Phineas and Ferb.
Yeah, probably. It was reckoned to him for righteousness to all generations forever. They also provoked him to wrath at the waters of Meribah, so that it went hard with Moses on their account, because they were rebellious against his spirit. Something. It's all kind of the same.
Yada, yada,
stuff. They even sacrificed their sons and their daughters to the demons. So I kind of am not as mad as at the satanic panic people now, because this is where they got it from. They legitimately were like, well, look, they're worshiping Satan. They're killing their own kids. They're eating each other.
This is what they do. Yeah.
It's a big mess. So they learned it from watching you, Old Testament.
Son of a bitch.
In the New Testament, in the book of Matthew, when he came to the other side, into the country of the Gadarenes, two men who were demon-possessed met him as they were coming out of the tombs. They were so extremely violent that no one could pass by that way, and they cried out, saying, what business do we have with each other, Son of God? Have you come here to torment us before the time? Now, there was a herd of many swine feeding at a distance from them. The demons began to entreat him, saying, if you are going to cast us out, send us into the herd of swine. And he said to them, go. And they came out and went into the swine, and the whole herd rushed down the steep bank into the sea and perished in the waters. Now, I guess that'll teach you, demons. Like, But then again, fucking, like, then the demons could go, ha, psych, Jesus, you do everything we tell you. Because we told you to put us in the swine, and then you did it. So who's got the last laugh? Not the swine. They died.
Yeah, not the swine.
And then but
I don't understand what the point of that is.
Well, he's muscly. He's
like, all right, I'll get you out of our way, and I'll just throw you over there.
Yeah,
like,
I'm gonna take you out of these fine, upstanding citizens and throw you into those nasty hogs over there that are then gonna just get so mad that they're full of demon splinters that they're gonna run into the sea and drown. I guess.
That makes sense. Never mind.
Now that's not really making the case for the demons being super strong, I guess. But it is against Jesus, so really that's their number one enemy. You know what I mean? Like, the demon's Lex Luthor is Jesus. So in the Quran, and it's interesting how their books go. In Yasin, which is in parentheses, Yasin 3660, which is, I guess, the name of the book and the chapter. And anybody that knows that is not already very angry because I made fun of your holy book, that wants to explain it to me, that I would find that very interesting. But anyway, it says, "Did I not command you, O children of Adam, not to follow Satan, for he is truly your sworn enemy?" And that stuck out to me because it was like, because I didn't read one way or the other, so I have no context. I just took that line out, and it just seems to be like, fuck, I told you guys not to worship Satan, and look what you've done. Like, you had one job. Now, everybody knows what a genie is. It's Robin Williams, super cute, blah, blah, blah. But they came from the Djinn,
yes,
which might be demons, but a lot of that depends on your translation.
Yeah, I thought jinns were male genies, and I remember I Dream of Jeannie. She was cute.
Yeah,
she wasn't a demon.
They're all cute. The succubus and whatnot. So I'm going to give you 5 renditions of the exact same line from the Quran with different translators.
Okay.
Said a bold one of the invisible beings, subject to Solomon, "I shall bring it to thee ere thou rise from thy council seat, for behold, I am powerful enough to do it, and worthy of trust." So this was a bold one of the invisible beings. Then somebody else said, a stalwart of the jinn said, "I will bring it thee before thou canst rise from thy place. Lo, I verily am strong and trusty for such work." Then
I like that one because he says verily.
Yes, and lo. Which
and lo.
always comes with an exclamation point, and I always think it's lol, but it's not. So, number 3, said an Ifrit of the jinns, "I will bring it to thee before thou rise from thy council. Indeed, I have full strength for the purpose and may be trusted." So we've got invisible beings, we've got a stalwart of the jinn, we've got an Ifrit of the jinns. Then at number 4, we have a demon from among the jinn said, "I will bring it to you before you get up from your seat. I am strong and trustworthy enough to do it." And then, in the least scary one out of all of them, an imp among the sprites said, "I'll bring it to you before you even rise up from your place. I am strong enough to be entrusted with it." An imp from the sprites. That's the worst. That's not intimidating.
That's like the Kids Bop version of the Bible.
Yes, it is Kids Bop. Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. We don't want to be threatening at all.
Exactly.
So, but this is legitimately just people going, yeah, well, words are hard, and we've got to translate it.
Even though that's my job.
Even though, well, so, you just triggered the fuck out of me, because in this episode, the name of the person that we're going to get to eventually, I swear we're going to tell the story. I listened to a lot of people go, "I don't know how to pronounce this." fucking look it up. Like, I know that I probably did this in the past because, like, when you first start out podcasting, you're like, oh, no, I'm going to butcher these names. Tee hee hee. But fuck me and fuck everybody else that does it because, for fuck's sake, just learn how to say the word.
It's not a lot of effort.
If you can't fucking figure it out because of how long it is, give it a shot. Like, when I send out the scripts and I do the fucking phonetic part, I try. It might be wrong. But it's not like, no, I don't know, his name is Kabibble. Like, it's not, fucking. So,
I know.
Before everybody is just pigpiling on the big three, as it were, here come the Hindu and the Buddhists with their Rakshasa, which is a dope-ass name. They're,
that is pretty cool.
They are man-eaters. It's also used to describe asuras, which are power-seeking deities that lack divinity. So they're tough guys that aren't quite godlike. Right. So they're ambitious, which is a fun, like basic motivation, I guess, from a narrative structure. You're going to be like, oh, well, this guy's all
right.
He's powerful enough to push everybody around, but he's not, he can't, I don't know, beget things, I guess. But anyway,
he can't beget.
The other thing that bugs me about possession stories is that it implies that one of three things has to be true. Number one, not every demon wants to possess people because they're just fine doing what they're doing.
Just doing what demons do.
Demonville. Or...
So we're living here in Demon Town.
Yes. Now I want to do a party song of that, but no. So... Or they try to possess somebody and it doesn't work out and they're like, oh, fuck. And now I have to go to the fucking kids' soccer game and bullshit. I can't possess anybody. I can't possess anyone for like a week. Like, so, and he's talking to his friends, like, what did you do last week? I know I possessed a little girl and I tried to, tried to what? I don't know. Just, I spoke a bunch of crazy languages, scared a priest, said a bunch of gross shit. Just basically made everybody upset. And, well, did you get anywhere with it? Yeah, no, it didn't go anywhere. Then they put a Bible on my head and I screamed and came back down
some
here.
Holy water at me. Yeah.
So, or the third one, which is maybe the scariest and probably most likely, is that the big possession stories that we hear about are only the ones that don't work. And every other one just goes on without a hitch, and they're smart enough to not
without anybody knowing
their fucking victims like roll around screaming like idiots, where they just go, "Yeah, no, go to the bank, go to the bank, just go get the money." You know what you should do? Cheat on your spouse, like just making everybody
cheat on your taxes, kill your boss.
Yeah, exactly.
But don't get caught.
Well, how am I going to do that?
I'm a demon. I've been around a couple thousand years. I can help you out with that.
I'm still around. So that's my third and most frightening idea. But
that's like when somebody like kills people and it's like unexplained because they don't understand why he did it.
That's true. Like that Unsolved Mysteries, the first one when they brought it back on Netflix, which you also probably didn't watch. How the fuck did that guy fall into that? How'd that guy fall in? Demon threw him. That's how.
I didn't like the new one.
Well, you wouldn't like it if the demon that possessed you got sick of your shit and yeeted you into the air.
Well, I think that's what happens, right? Because like how many people who go on like mass shootings end up killing themselves, or guys who kill their wives or whatever? They end up killing themselves, and then the demon goes off and finds the next guy.
Fair. Yeah, I guess basically everybody's a demon, I think.
You think so?
Yeah, but if everybody is, then it kind of evens out. So that's a good demon voice. That was good.
Thank you.
Put you in the intro. So the other piece, I'm going to give a little nod to Paradise Lost just because the guy worked so fucking hard on it.
He really did.
He was all big into like the whole hierarchy and shit like that, and Beelzebub and Belial and Mammon
Yeah, and all the levels of angels and
and Moloch.
that stuff.
Moloch is a good name too. Moloch was actually worshipped supposedly by some Israelites. Look at me saying supposedly. It's all supposedly. Moloch required
like
child sacrifice. Yeah. I don't want to disparage.
Who doesn't like that?
The made up shit from thousands of years ago. Sorry, I didn't mean to offend you. So Moloch demands child sacrifices, and he wants to just have an all-out war against God. So he's like one of those killers in DVD that hits you while you're on the hook. He's really got a lot of issues.
Yeah, he's got a lot of problems. Yeah.
Now, all this together, the natural question is, who gives a shit? Like, a lot of information just came through your ear holes, but what does it have to do with? What's it have to do with my life? What's it got to do with today? Well, I'll tell you who gives a shit. First off,
what's it do for Barry?
Yeah, how does it help Barry get ahead? It helps Hollywood because I looked up Demon on IMDb, and here's a little fun smattering of movies I found: The Neon Demon, Demon Seed, Demonia, which is, I think you get it by going out
porns.
No, Demonia is if you go out in hell with wet hair, you're going to catch Demonia.
Demonia.
Demon Warp, the Jungle Demon, and then for some reason, the Monkeys. The show The Monkeys. Like, I don't understand why. Like, what they're fucking.
They were possessed by demons.
They're Boolean
Mickey Dolenz definitely was.
Oh, I used to laugh. Remember when memes had to be photocopied because the meme hadn't been invented?
Yeah.
Like, they just got passed around offices and shit.
Yeah,
one of the ones that, one that fucking cracked me up. It was a picture of the monkeys, and it said, "Show me on the monkey where Daddy touched you," and it always fucking made me laugh because it was all four of them smiling. So here's other real world ramifications. Number one, Latoya Ammons, who was one of our first ever episodes. Go back and listen to it if you don't think demons are real. Number two, Donnie Decker, who we did not too long ago from Strasbourg, PA.
Yeah, Donnie Decker.
Making
I remember him.
Yeah. Then there was a Polish priest who he performed an exorcism on a teenage girl, and
I bet he did.
So Father Marian Rochelle from Jaroslaw in southeastern Poland, he exorcised this woman and then said that Satan was harassing him via text.
You sure those aren't just ads?
He said he started receiving the hate messages after failing to drive the devil out of her soul. Now he believes that the demon is using the possessed teenager to attack him through a mobile phone.
You think it's a demon that sent me make your move and make your partner horny in about 4 minutes?
Yes, I think. Also,
you think that was sent by a demon? Because yes, I have a demon spam filter, and that was sent in there.
I have a demon that wants to buy my house repeatedly,
and one that wants to sell me a car warranty.
Yeah. He said, the priest said, "She will not come out of this hell. She's mine. Anyone who prays for her will die." That's what he's reading, the text that he got from the devil.
Right.
And apparently he replied to the devil via text, and then the devil said, "Shut up, preacher. You cannot save yourself, idiot, you pathetical preacher," texting a person that's obviously a human. But the priest said, "Clearly this young girl has been possessed and needs further help. Stay away from the teenage girl. Stop texting them. They had to pretend they were a demon to get you to leave them alone." Weird priest. That's what I say.
Yeah, because if you it wouldn't be that hard to see. You can do a lookup with a phone number, right? Like, it wouldn't be that hard to find out who had that.
For fuck's sake.
Oh my God, what do you know? It says John Demon.
Arnie Cheyenne Johnson, who was 19,
Yeah.
In 1981, he stabbed a guy named Alan Bono more than 20 times with a pocket knife, which just makes me fucking cringe because what he had to stab him that many times because every stab was so ineffectual. Like, I'm not like,
Right, exactly.
Jesus Christ. You
Well,
just
with
gotta,
me, it wouldn't even get through the fat, I don't think.
yeah, but you end up bleeding out because the guy was just so persistent and apparently had a,
I'm just going
a
to
lot
keep my
of-
arms
a
not
lot.
tired
Yeah,
yet.
exactly. Well, why are you stabbing yourself? So he, his defense was that he was possessed by a demon.
Ugh.
And guess who got involved in that case? Ed and Lorraine Warren.
Alan Dershowitz?
No, Ed and Lorraine Warren. This is the movie they just did. The Conjuring? Is it The Conjuring?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the original one. Yeah.
This is the guy saying the
Conjuring
guy that
universe.
used the demon as his excuse. Like, this legit
Right.
happened. It was a true story. Now, did it work?
Ugh.
No, it did not. He and the Warrens, they performed exorcisms to expel the 42 demons that were in him and whatever. Like,
So he had like a demon boarding house going
yeah,
on.
and it's kind of fucked up because the guy that they were originally doing it to, this guy named David, who was Arnie's girlfriend's brother, was saying he had a demon. And Arnie said, yeah, well, fuck you, demon. Well, come in me instead. And then afterwards, he stabbed the guy. And he said, well, obviously that worked, and that's why I did it. And
makes sense to me.
That did not
That's
work.
science.
Now, there was Robbie Mannheim in St. Louis, 1949. That is the case that The Exorcist was actually based on. We might do that someday. I think I have an affinity for demons. We do demons a lot. In the mid-70s, a German woman named Anneliese Michel, she got exorcised 67 times.
What?
Yes. And I only included this one.
And it just kept coming back, huh?
Well, because it didn't take. She also kept ripping her clothes off.
Well, that's good.
Apparently, she performed up to 400 squats a day. She would crawl under the table and bark like a dog. She would eat spiders and coal. And her story was...
So she had a good diet, balanced diet.
Well, yeah, if you do that many squats and all you eat is coal and your own pee that you lick off the floor, you're going to lose weight. That's just a given.
You're going to look good. You're going to look good.
That was where the exorcism of Emily Rose came from. These are real people that really had things happen to them. And
did she really die in real life, like Emily Rose?
No, I don't think she died. I would have to recheck, but I don't think so.
That was a good movie.
In 1974, a dude named Michael Taylor got exorcised, lasted all night. And when they were done with the exorcism, he killed his wife and strangled his dog. And they found him the next day in the street, naked, covered in blood. And I shit you not, the fucking exorcist said that even though they had driven 40 evil spirits out of Taylor, a few remained, including the demon of murder. Like they were basically going, well, we don't want to get a bad rating on Google from our exorcism, business. So we got 40.
That's so fucking gross. That is
40
so
out
gross.
of 42 is a pretty good record. And if the one that stayed hadn't been the murder one, we'd have a very different conversation. If it had just been the whack off one, nobody would have cared. He would have just been whacking off.
It's just the worst.
In private.
And the fact that he killed his dog, like how fucking crazy, or I hate using crazy, but how crazy do you have to be? Like literally dogs are just love machines.
Yeah, you're definitely
all they
unwell.
do is love you.
Definitely unwell.
Like, I could see killing your wife, but your dog and strangling it, like it's looking up at you like, hey, I love you, Dad. Yeah, well,
here's what you'll do. Die.
Yeah. Come here, Luna. Let's see what it's like.
You couldn't. Your dog is so safe. You don't have the fucking persistence to strangle your own dog.
I don't have anything. I have no desire. I love my little girl, my little Luna.
Well,
and she likes you now.
Yeah, she does. Well, because I'm super likable.
After like a minute.
Yes.
Of coming into my.
Oh yeah, because when you go to Shuey's house, when you first get there, it's like the fucking hounds of hell are gonna bite your dick off.
She's a 70-pound part pit bull nut that just goes ape shit whenever anybody comes near the house.
Yeah,
but then within like 30 seconds, she'll be like your best pal
and charges at you just enough to make you think you're about to be mauled.
Yes, she does.
So
I think she's possessed.
Yeah,
if she ever bites anybody,
possible.
That's what I'll say.
That's possible. Yeah, well, you won't get away with it because now you've admitted that you're a fraud. From a
crap.
Now we're gonna cross into. We did all the fairy tale stuff, then we did the crazy stories about people that actually had real life consequences of believing in demons. Because if you took demons out of the equation, it would just be a person that was incredibly mentally ill, had people that were not qualified whatsoever to treat him, come into his house and yell at him for a while and think that was going to fix it.
Probably in like an ancient foreign language.
Yeah.
Because that stuff's always got to be in Latin, right?
Oh yeah. If you want. Oh, that's the other thing. They did make that one movie about the Jewish demon.
If you want to get the good stuff.
Yeah. I found out about a thing called Sen, C-E-N. It's a kind of spirit possession where the ghost of a deceased person visits the affected individual and replaces their identity. And I actually found it in a scientific paper. It came up a lot in kids between 12 and 25 years old in regions of northern Uganda that had been war-torn would be the right adjective. And they compared kids that had been kidnapped and made to fight as child soldiers and to participate in and be witness to unspeakable brutality. And they compared them to other kids that had not done that. And guess which ones felt like they had been possessed?
I have no idea.
Where are you going with this? If you're gonna if you have so much fucking trauma inside you that there's got to be a way for it to get out, and you feel so much fucking guilt about what you've done and what you've seen, and how do you like there's shit I fucking weep for anybody that's been in war, because I don't know what you folks see when you close your eyes, but it has to be fucking horrible. And that guy, like, it's the same for, like, you know, ambulance drivers and shit like that. You know what I mean? Like and cops
people
that show up
trauma all the time.
Yeah, all the fucking time. I don't know how you bear it. Like, I do not know how you bear it. But obviously these kids didn't have, I mean, any way to do it. And if you think about it from the soldier standpoint, you know, what's the suicide rate of soldiers as compared to people who are not soldiers? And yes, we support the troops 100%. Assholes. You should, I don't know. I don't think you can give to the VA, but you should support veterans because they went through a lot of shit. And I'm not even going to say they did it so you didn't have to. I'm going to say they did it because they were told to, and they did what they were told to. Yeah, and
it doesn't matter. Sucks. It doesn't matter what the overall purpose of what they were doing was, like what the higher ups and the people in control do. Those people still had to do that shit job, and it's super dangerous and everything else. So yeah.
That brings us, that little sidebar brings us to Kennedy Ife. His name is Ife. Every other fucking person out there, I don't know. One person said Ife. Whose name would be Ife? Like, nobody's.
Yeah.
He was 26 years old. This took place in London, but he was from Nigeria, I believe. And in August, and his parents were named Kenneth and Josephine. He had 5 brothers: Roy, Harry, Colin, Samuel, and Daniel. And his name was Kennedy, which doesn't fit in, but it's cool for a first name. They were apparently well-to-do.
When was this?
This was 2016. Not too long
so
ago
maybe
at all.
he was named after the Kennedy from MTV.
Yes. So, that's very possible.
Who is still on Fox Business, by the way.
Insane.
She
People gotta
has
make
a
a
show
living.
just called Kennedy.
Oy. So he started acting weird and aggressive. He got a sore throat, and then he started acting strangely. He bit his father, and all the stories related that he threatened to cut off his own penis. And the part of that I don't get is, how did it come up? Like, hey, can you go to the can you go to the store for me? I can cut my dick off. That's what I can do. Well,
Can you get me those garden shears? What
are
for?
those
I
the
gotta
only
cut my dick
choices?
off.
Like, I don't get. He also said that he felt like he had a python or a snake inside of him. Now, all of those things, including the no, I won't play Call of Duty with you, but I will cut my dick off, is dealt with by the family, not, hey, we should call the doctor. They fucking tied him up.
Of course.
And they used cable ties to tie him to the bed, apparently. Now, Roy, one of the brothers, said that his brother's actions were, quote, shocking to hear, but why would they call professionals? Because it was a domestic issue. Like, not really, but I guess if that's the way you want to.
Domestic means it's happening in your house.
Yeah,
that
like
makes it domestic.
Yeah, sure, I punched my baby in the stomach, but it's a domestic issue.
It's a domestic issue.
The family then tried to cure Kennedy by, again, tying him to the bed and praying a lot, which is the yelling. Now, his brother Colin told the cops that it was clear that there was a thing in him, and what they believed was a demon because it was not natural. It was clearly trying to kill him. We had to restrain him for himself. It was clear that if we didn't, he could have tried to harm people in our family. That all assumes that you just let him be there instead of calling literally any of the public services that could have helped in this situation. Now, instead, they called him minister. And in one of the news stories, they put minister in quotes. Like, I don't know whether he was an internet minister or what it was.
Oh, God.
But one guy, one minister who
he was a guy on the corner with a Bible yelling at people.
Well, he came 2 days before everything went sideways, and he just said the guy looked like he had a fever. Now, Andrew Chukwuemeka, a church volunteer, prayed for Kennedy at the house with 2 other ministers, quote, ministers, known as Brother Peter and Brother Amika. When I arrived at church, I was informed that we had been instructed to attend the address of Sister Joe, that's the mother, Josephine,
right,
to pray for Kennedy. Together, we arrived at Sister Joe's house at 10:59 p.m. Colin opened the door. We were ushered into the living room. I saw Kennedy lying down on the settee. He had a mobile phone in his hand. He seemed to be typing something on his phone, texting someone. Now,
demon!
Maybe he was texting the Polish priest, pranking him.
Maybe he was texting the devil.
that's possible too. Now that we have the precedent that the devil does text, and apparently
Yes.
it comes from blocked number. So he says hi to him, and Kennedy says hi back. He looked tired, but he was not tied to anything.
Right.
And so they were praying, and the father came in and with some people from another church, and they I guess they made this other guy the boss prayer. And the first guy was like, I was mad that we had been told to come here, and because I guess he was pissed that they brought this other guy in to like blow up their spot. But then he stayed. Right. And he said he looked at me like he had a fever. He wasn't as bright as he had seemed when I met him in the past. Well, of course not, because you're keeping him all up all night, fucking yelling at him.
Exactly. He's just spent.
Now, 3 days into this, apparently he had been tied to the bed all this time, except that the testimony of that minister guy says he wasn't at all. He was just sitting around texting people.
Yeah.
Except something went wrong, because his brother finally called emergency services saying that Kennedy was complaining of dehydration and seemed to be having problems breathing, and he was pronounced dead at 10:17 that morning because apparently he was very dehydrated and he could not breathe at all. And I don't know what the fucking click was in the like, oh, well, the demon always lies. He's not dehydrated at all, even though we haven't given him any water.
He can totally breathe.
He's the father of lies. He's shacks. He's not in a triangle. That's our problem. He's supposed to be telling us where the 1,200 pieces of gold are or some shit, whatever the fuck it was.
What the nonsense.
Needlessly convoluted, stupid shit. And this poor fucking guy's dead when he just needed an IV of fucking saline.
Just saline, yeah.
So all of his family, every fucking one of them, got accused of manslaughter, false imprisonment, and causing or allowing the death of a vulnerable adult, which is that's a good crime. I think that if they threw that crime around more, a lot more people would get in trouble for it. Because that's a good way to put it. Allow it, causing or allowing
a British law, not an American law.
A post-mortem examination revealed over 60 wounds, including what might have been a bite. But they also said his father and his brothers had been injured, so maybe it was bite fight, because they already said he tried to bite the father. His dick was still there, so he didn't get to do that. That's probably why they tied him up. If I said I was going to cut my dick off, I would hope that you would tie me up, but also leave me some fucking Powerade or some shit. The father told the jury that he ordered his son to take shifts and use, quote, overwhelming force. But he didn't say, he denied that an association with cults, occults, and secret societies played any part in the death, which nobody had even said. So I don't know where that came from, unless you're going to go, well, every church is a secret society, kind of.
Yeah.
I mean, other than the fact that they proudly proclaim the fact that they're a church. I don't know where well, I guess they all have secrets, but you know what I mean. Anyways, after 4 days of jury deliberation, all 7 of the family members were cleared of charges in 2019. Because obviously they probably felt pretty stupid that they killed their own kid.
Like, what do they believe now? Do they believe that they were doing the right thing?
They cannot be reached for comment at this point. How are you going to fucking... you got to move to a place where there's not podcasts talking shit about you. You know what I mean? Because what happened to Kennedy? He was such a good boy. Oh, we tied him to a bed and let him die. Why?
He got possessed. Oh, it was such a week. He got possessed. We had to tie him to the bed. We never fed him or gave him anything to drink.
We brought in random people to pray.
Right.
It
was such a hassle. And then he goes and dies. Then I have to plan a funeral. Why does everything happen to me?
Oh Jesus! Yeah, you just turned that right around to your own mother, didn't you? You swung it. You swung that shit all the way around.
It all comes back to mom.
So, I mean, everything we heard before about where the whole concept of demons came from, and every culture and organized religion, again, except for Dianetics or Scientology or whatever it's called. Scientology, right? Dianetics is just the instructions. Diuretics. So
remember when that was like that commercial was like every other commercial?
Yeah.
On like every channel.
I would love to do that topic and then get like beaten up by their lawyers or some shit like that. That would be fun.
Oh yeah, I watched that Leah Remini show. Like they're fucking nuts if you can believe half of it.
So what do we take away from this on the Halloween episode? The takeaway is this. Every single bad thing that happened in this entire story was done by people, not a demon, because also like the woman that ate the coal and did the squats, what kind of fucking were they like on Demon Punked, where like the demons were talking to each other and going, well, what can you make somebody do? Well, I'll make her lick her own pee off the floor. Ha ha. Like there's no there's
maybe they had like a squats competition amongst people that were possessed,
but like there's no end game to possession.
Right. There's no point.
Cui bono. Who benefits? The demon? How?
Yeah.
Let's pretend that Kennedy was possessed. What did he get to do? Text that priest, then get tied to the bed and die in 3 days.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no point to any of it. Unless it's just to end that person.
Sure, but what the fuck he could have he could have possessed somebody else to like drop a piano on his head or some shit.
Right.
Like, it doesn't make any sense.
Right. He could have just helped the guy trip in front of a car or some bullshit. Like they didn't have to go through all that.
But so this is spooky time, so there has to be some spook in it.
Right.
So the thing that you need to be afraid of is that statistically, you probably know someone who is like a couple steps away from stabbing you more than 20 times with a pocket knife. And you don't know what's going to set them off. And you don't know which person it
just
is.
Comes on.
That's what you probably think you know who it is, but you probably don't. And you just gotta live that way.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I guess, I understand the idea of why people would believe in demons.
Because they're idiots?
Well, all right. I don't understand why somebody would believe in it now. I understand why somebody would believe in it up until like maybe 1900. Right? There's no science.
That's fair.
There's no real scientific way to explain mental illness or anything like that. But I just think it's like everything else in the world today, right? Like we know things and science knows things, and some people choose to believe it and some people don't. Some people will fall back on that. It's always been like this kind of thing. Plus, it's just easy. I think it's easier for some people to buy that, like, say their son is possessed than he's schizophrenic.
Yeah, that's true too.
Because if that's the case, then there's nothing they can do for him. So at least if he's possessed, maybe we can get the demon out of him.
Yeah, but even the fucking methods of it are just so, why would the demon then not possess a deaf person? Because then fuck you, exorcist.
Yeah, all your little words.
You can yell at me all you want. I'll never know.
I gotta read your lips.
Exactly, because I can't hear shit. Put those fucking flashcards down. I ain't reading them. So the end of this from a Halloween standpoint is that we want you to have a happy Halloween.
Yes,
and
have a great Halloween.
get stabbed by anyone. And if you do get stabbed by someone, that's on you because we just specifically said not to.
Don't do that.
Just like they said, did I not just tell you not to worship Satan?
You just said not a lot, so I'm not sure about double negatives or triple negatives on that.
Did I not command you, O children of Adam, not to get stabbed?
Okay, it was just 2. Okay.
Yeah. So that's 2.
I got it.
All right. So don't get stabbed. And don't try to fucking weasel around it by getting some other type of violent injury. I'm talking none. Everybody be safe.
Very safe.
Yeah.
I'm excited for my first Halloween down in Matthews, so we'll see.
That's right. That's going to be quite a bunch of nothing.
Yeah, there's like 3 houses in my neighborhood with anything up.
Yeah, because there's a bunch of old crappers that don't care about nothing. All right, everybody. What's the link where all our shit is?
allmylinks.com/strangeful things. And I meant to tell you, you know how I found out about that?
Some porny thing.
Yeah. Lexi Lore.
What the fuck is that? It sounds like a historian.
No, I don't know. I don't know how it came. It came up on my Twitter or something. Not that their algorithm pointed it in a certain direction or anything.
I'm tired of getting shown these things that I constantly search for.
Click on and then look at and then look at the things like them.
Well, good for her. Well, you know what? We're all my links buddies with her, I guess.
That's right.
So,
that's right.
Yeah. And
that's right.
Well, that's good for us.
While you're out there on Halloween, just remember to keep on flapping.
Bye-bye.